the beginning of the story, we see a close-up shot that is both bizarre and fascinating. A man is carefully injecting a shimmering green liquid directly into the yolk of an egg. In a blink, the single yolk unnaturally splits, becoming two. The scene then cuts, and we're introduced to the reason for this strange imagery. We are watching the creation of a star, not in the sky, but on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The star belongs to Elisabeth Sparkle, a woman who was once the definition of beauty and success. She was a supermodel, an icon, and the beloved host of a hit television show. In her golden years, fans would flock to her star, kneeling down to take selfies, wanting to capture a piece of her magic. But time is a cruel and relentless force. As the years passed, the crowds thinned, the selfies stopped, and the star itself fell into disrepair, cracked and forgotten. No one bothered to fix it, a clear and painful symbol that the world's love affair with Elisabeth Sparkle was officially over. The story then jumps forward, showing us the Elisabeth of today. She's in her 50s, her face a map of a life lived, but she's still clinging to the last remnant of her fame, hosting the very same show. After a taping, she heads to the washroom, only to find the ladies' room is closed for maintenance. With a sigh, she ducks into the men's washroom, a place she assumes is empty, but it's not. The show's director is inside, deep in a phone conversation, and his words hit her like a physical blow. He's complaining that Elisabeth isn't who she used to be, that the show's ratings, once sky-high because of her, are now plummeting. "I have to replace her," he says, his voice cold and clinical. "I need someone new, someone young and beautiful." For Elisabeth, it feels like the world stopped spinning. The beauty that had been her identity, her pride, and her currency was now declared worthless. She stares at her reflection in the mirror, tracing the wrinkles around her eyes. The grief for her lost youth is now compounded by the fresh, brutal pain of being thrown away like trash. Heartbroken, Elisabeth confronts the director, hoping for a shred of compassion. She finds none. "Look, Elisabeth," he says, not even bothering to make eye contact. "My hands are tied. This business is about giving people what they want, and what they want is that," he says, gesturing vaguely towards the idea of youthful perfection. "And you just don't have it anymore." His words echo in her ears as she numbly leaves the studio. Driving home, his cruel dismissal plays on a loop in her head, a torturous mantra of her obsolescence. Lost in her anguish, she doesn't see the headlights until it's too late. A violent crash, the shriek of metal, and then darkness. Miraculously, when she wakes up in the hospital, doctors tell her she doesn't have a single scratch. But as she's being discharged, she sees her own face on a billboard being torn down to make way for a new, younger model. The relief of surviving the crash is instantly replaced by a wave of despair, and she begins to sob. A kind nurse checks her back and helps her with her coat. It's only when Elisabeth gets outside that she feels something in the pocket, a small, discreetly placed note and a flash drive. The note is cryptic. "He changed my life," it reads. The drive is labeled with just 2 words, the substance. Back in the sterile quiet of her lonely home, Elisabeth plugs in the drive. A slick, corporate-style video begins to play, detailing a revolutionary, almost magical fluid called the substance. It promises the impossible. For any person, it can create a brand new, perfect, younger version of themselves. The package comes with 2 fluids. The first is a one-time injection to create the new you. The second is a stabilizer, necessary to maintain the connection between the 2 bodies. The video explains the rules, the fine print of this miracle. The user must switch between their old and new variants every 7 days. While one body is active, the other lies dormant and unconscious. And here's the most disturbing part. To keep the new, young body stable, it requires a daily injection of a special fluid that must be harvested from the spinal column of the old body. Elisabeth initially scoffs, thinking it's an elaborate, cruel prank. She throws the flash drive in the trash. But that night, alone with her fading pictures and overwhelming sadness, the desperation claws its way back. She retrieves the drive and sends a simple text to the number provided. "I want it." The response is swift and impersonal. No questions asked. She's given a secret address and a key card. The next morning, a black envelope arrives. Inside, a locker number. At the same time, she sees a full-page ad in the newspaper, an open casting call for a new host to replace her. The final nail in the coffin. Steeling herself, Elisabeth drives to the secret address. It leads to a high-tech, automated locker facility. She finds her locker, and inside is a sleek, sterile box. At home, she unseals it. It contains everything the video promised: the green serum for the initial transformation, an activator kit for switching between bodies, and a stabilizer kit, the ominous device used to extract fluid from the spine. There are even pre-packaged meals for both the old and new versions of herself. For a long time, she just stands in her bathroom, staring at her aging body in the mirror, the box of impossibilities sitting on the counter. Is this insanity, or is it salvation? Finally, with a trembling hand, she fills the syringe with the green liquid and injects it into her stomach. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, a wave of excruciating pain rips through her. It feels like her very atoms are being torn apart. Her vision blurs, and for a terrifying second, we see her eyeballs literally duplicate within their sockets. Her back arches in an impossible, horrifying way, And then, with a wet, tearing sound, it splits open. From the bloody chasm of her own back, a new form emerges. A young, flawless, beautiful woman. This is Elisabeth's new version. Drenched and gasping, the new girl stumbles to the mirror. She can't believe her eyes. She is more beautiful than Elisabeth ever was in her prime. After moments of stunned admiration, she turns to the gruesome task at hand. She tends to her old self, the now dormant body of Elisabeth, attaching a feeding tube to keep it alive. All night, she revels in her newfound youth. But when she wakes, her nose is bleeding, a warning sign. She remembers the rules. The new body needs the stabilizer. She quickly extracts the fluid from the spine of her old self and injects it. Instantly, the bleeding stops, and her skin seems to glow even brighter. This new, revitalized version of herself needs a name. She calls herself Sue. Wasting no time, Sue goes to the audition for Elisabeth's old show. The director and producers are absolutely floored. Her beauty is magnetic, otherworldly. They hire her on the spot. Sue, thinking fast, knows she'll need a week off every other week for this switch. She fabricates a story about a sick mother she needs to care for back in her village. The director, utterly captivated by her, agrees without a second thought. Sue is an overnight sensation. Her face is plastered on billboards all over the city, her follower count explodes, and she becomes the star Elisabeth once was, but the clock is always ticking. After 6 glorious days as Sue, the 7th day arrives. It's time to switch. She activates the change, and her consciousness returns to Elisabeth's body. She attaches the life support system to the dormant Sue, and then, as her old self, goes to the studio to collect her final paycheck. The director hands her a check with a dismissive air, a pathetic severance for a lifetime of work, and has security escort her out. The humiliation is a bitter pill to swallow. Returning to her apartment as Elisabeth, she finds a new envelope. It's her next refill kit for the substance. 7 days later, she transforms back into Sue. But living with 2 bodies in one apartment is a logistical nightmare. Sue decides she needs a more permanent solution. She starts a loud, messy construction project, tearing down a wall in her home. When a concerned neighbor checks on her, he's so disarmed by her beauty that he forgets his complaint and awkwardly offers his help, which Sue coldly refuses. Over several hours, she builds a secret hidden room behind a false wall, a tomb for her old self. She seals the living, breathing body of Elisabeth inside, along with all the photos and memories of her past life. Sue is so intoxicated by her new existence, by the parties, the fame, and the adoration, that she starts to get greedy. One week, when it's time to switch back, she hesitates. Her old body's food supply is running low, but Sue can't bear the thought of giving up her youth, even for a week. She decides to push the limits. She extracts a massive amount of stabilizer from Elisabeth and injects it, hoping to buy herself more time as Sue. It works for now, but when she finally does switch back, she makes a horrifying discovery. One of Elisabeth's fingers has decayed, turning black and soft. She broke the cycle, and this is the price. Panicked, she calls the company. Their response is chilling. There is no solution. You are not 2 people. You are one. What's done is done. One day, while out getting her next refill as Elisabeth, she sits down in a restaurant. An old man with a strange, knowing look in his eye approaches her. He has a familiar mark on his hand, the same one she saw on the nurse at the hospital. This is that nurse's old self. He leans in and whispers, "Has your new body started to eat you yet?" Terrified, Elisabeth flees. The encounter rattles her. She tries to find happiness in her old form, dressing up, putting on makeup, planning to meet a friend. But as she's about to leave, she catches a glimpse of a giant billboard of Sue outside her window. All her confidence shatters. She feels like a grotesque parody of the woman she created. In a fit of depression, she rips off her makeup, tears at her hair, and binge eats until she passes out. That night, she has a nightmare that a live chicken claws its way out of her stomach, a grotesque manifestation of her body rebelling against itself. The next day, she switches back to Sue and heads to the studio. To her surprise, the crew is packing up. The director finds her and turns her worry into elation. The show is canceled, he says, because she's getting a massive promotion. She's been chosen to host the live New Year's Eve countdown. It's the biggest gig of the year. Sue is ecstatic and accepts immediately, completely ignoring the fact that New Year's Eve falls on a day when she is supposed to be Elisabeth. She doesn't care. Fueled by ambition, she stays as Sue for weeks, then months, continuously overdrawing the stabilizer from Elisabeth's hidden body. Each extraction leaves the old body more withered, more decayed. When she finally switches back, she can barely recognize herself. Elisabeth is a shriveled husk, her body failing. In a rage, she destroys every picture of Sue in the house, hating the beautiful monster she's become. She calls the company one last time, begging for a way to reverse it all. "You can stop," they tell her. "We have a termination fluid. You can end the new variant and live out the rest of your life in your original body." But the lure of fame is too strong. Sue gets a call about the New Year's show, and Elisabeth switches back one last time. For 3 months, she lives as Sue, pushing her body to its absolute limit. Then, the night before New Year's Eve, the stabilizer runs out. She's at a man's apartment when her body begins to spasm. She tries to extract more fluid from the hidden body of Elisabeth, but there's nothing left. The well is dry. Frantic, she calls the company. "You have to switch back," they command. "There's no other way." As her body violently contorts, The man she's with hears the horrific sounds and comes to the washroom door, but it's too late. The transformation completes. Elisabeth, now a bald, skeletal, barely human figure, locks the door just in time. She calls the company. I want to stop. I want the termination fluid. She manages to get the fluid, but as she's about to inject the dormant body of Sue, she remembers what the company said. She will be stuck in whichever body she's in, now. The thought of being trapped in this hideous dying form forever is unbearable. She looks at Sue's perfect face and is filled with a new kind of greed. She has to host that show. She has to get that award. She injects only half the termination fluid into Sue, hoping to weaken her, but not destroy her. When Sue doesn't wake up, Elisabeth, in a desperate final act, rips the activator from her own spine and slaps it onto Sue. Both bodies are now active at the same time. Sue awakens, realizes what Elisabeth was trying to do, and becomes possessed by a primal rage. She attacks her older self, beating her viciously until Elisabeth's head smashes against the floor, killing her instantly. The original Elisabeth Sparkle is dead. Staring at the body, Sue is horrified, but her main concern is practical. Her life source, the provider of her stabilizing fluid, is gone. She cleans up the mess and heads to her New Year's Eve show. The crowd roars as she takes the stage. For a moment, it's everything she ever wanted, but then it begins. A trickle of blood from her nose. She rushes to a mirror, and her teeth start to crumble and fall out of her mouth. Without the stabilizer, her body is imploding. Panicked, she races home. In the elevator, a fingernail detaches and an ear just falls off. She finally gets to her apartment and remembers the initial green serum, the one for a single use. With nothing left to lose, she injects the entire vial into herself. The pain is apocalyptic. Her body tears apart at the waist, not to give birth to a new form, but to merge with the old. From the wreckage emerges a new variant, a horrifying hybrid of Sue and Elisabeth, a monster with mismatched limbs and a distorted face. Its mind is completely broken. Believing it is still the beautiful Sue, the creature tapes a photograph of Sue's face over its own grotesque one and returns to the stage. As it reaches the microphone, the photo flutters to the ground, revealing the nightmare underneath. The crowd screams in terror. Someone swings a baseball bat, and the creature's head cracks and falls to the floor, its body collapsing into a pool of gore that spreads across the studio. The mangled remains slither away like insects, coming to rest on Elisabeth's broken, forgotten star on the sidewalk. All that's left on the stage is the creature's disembodied face, looking up at the sky, a serene and terrifying smile frozen on its lips, as blood pools around it. The next morning, janitors simply and unceremoniously clean it all away. Moral: chasing eternal youth and fame can destroy the very soul you're trying to preserve. True beauty fades, but self-acceptance lasts forever. If you like my explanation, hit like, subscribe for new amazing story like this.